In the world of towering boardrooms and polished marble floors, arrogance often hides behind designer suits and inherited wealth. And among the powerful circles of business elites, few embodied this arrogance more completely than billionaire investor Leonard Hale. At 50 years old, with silver hair carefully combed back, and a suit worth more than most people's yearly salary, Leonard was a man who believed respect was something he received, never given. He had made his fortune through aggressive acquisitions, ruthless negotiations, and a strategic charm that only appeared when he gained from it. For years, he had never been challenged, never been questioned, and never been forced to confront the consequences of his pride. But life has a way of humbling even the greatest of the mighty. And his lesson would come, wrapped in the form of a woman 30 years younger than him, a black CEO named Dr. Alicia Grant, a brilliant strategist with a mind sharp enough to cut through the loudest egos in the room. At just 30, she had risen through corporate ranks through quiet resilience, working harder and smarter than anyone around her. She carried herself with calm dignity, her confidence built not from privilege, but from precision, intelligence, and years of fighting for a seat at tables that were never made for her. The day everything began was like any other major meeting day. Leonard entered the glass-walled conference room surrounded by advisors, his polished shoes clicking across the floor in a rhythm that signaled dominance. His company, Hale Industries, had been struggling with innovation for years, and partnering with Dr. Alicia's tech company could have been the fresh breath of life his empire desperately needed. But Leonard didn't see her brilliance, only her youth, her gender, her skin color, and his own distorted sense of superiority. The team rose as he entered, as if acknowledging royalty. At the opposite end of the table, Dr. Alicia stood with refined grace, her warm brown complexion illuminated by the overhead lights. In her navy blue suit and neatly styled shoulder-length hair, she looked every bit the leader she had earned the right to be. She extended her hand toward Leonard, offering a gesture of professional respect. But Leonard Hale, standing tall with the weight of his ego smothering his judgment, didn't take her hand. Instead, in front of his entire board, he humiliated her by refusing the handshake, a small gesture, but one that carried the weight of centuries of disrespect. The room stiffened instantly, the air thickening with discomfort, yet no one dared challenge him. Leonard believed he had made his statement, that he was untouchable, and she was insignificant. But what he didn't know was that this single act would cost him far more than he could ever imagine. That evening, while the world outside glimmered beneath city lights, Dr. Alicia returned to her office with a quiet storm growing inside her. She had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, and climbed too far to allow a man like Leonard Hale to belittle her. She wasn't angry, and she was focused. She spent the night reviewing numbers, analyzing data, assessing her options. By midnight, she had made a decision that would change everything. She ended the partnership negotiations. She removed all of her company's assets connected to Hale Industries. She pulled back every share her firm had invested. And before the sun rose the next morning, the financial consequences of her decision erupted like an earthquake beneath Leonard's empire. When the stock market opened, analysts were stunned to see Hale Industries plummet. Investors panicked. Markets reacted. Billions evaporated in hours. The final number hit the news like a bomb. 2.4 billion gone overnight. A staggering loss. Public enough to shift power dynamics across the entire business sector. Reporters speculated. Shareholders demanded answers. Leonard, furious and confused, paced across his office as screens around him flashed red downward arrows. But nothing hurt him more than the realization slowly settling over him. The downfall began the moment he refused a simple handshake. The board of directors met urgently, fingers pointed. Tempers rose. And by noon, before he had time to recover, Leonard was forced to step down as CEO of his own company, a humiliation far worse than anything he had ever inflicted. Meanwhile, Dr. Alicia's confidence remained unshaken. She didn't celebrate his loss. She simply moved forward, channeling her energy into building something greater. She had always dreamed of creating a company that stood not only for innovation, but for dignity, equality, and opportunity. With Hale Industries no longer draining her time or patience, she poured herself into expanding her vision. Months passed. What started as a moderate firm grew into a groundbreaking, corporation known for technological genius and ethical leadership. Investors who once doubted her now lined up to support her. Her name became synonymous with brilliance, and as her influence grew, even those who had dismissed her began recognizing her strength. But while her world rose, Leonard Hale's world was falling apart. His fortune shrank. His reputation fractured. Former allies abandoned him. The people who once praised him now whispered about his downfall behind closed doors. But the loss that hurt him most wasn't the money. It was the unshakable truth that his downfall had been caused not by financial miscalculation, but by his own pride. Years later, when Alicia Grant became one of the most influential businesswomen in the world, Leonard finally reached a breaking point. He could no longer ignore the truth that had changed his life. She hadn't ruined him. He had ruined himself. Determined to apologize sincerely for the first time in his life, Leonard traveled to her new headquarters. The building stood tall, a symbol of her hard work, its glass panels reflecting the sunlight like a mirror of triumph. As he walked through the lobby, he felt a deep humility pressing into him, each step reminding him of how far he had fallen and how far she had risen. When he finally entered her office, he found her standing by the window, the skyline stretching endlessly behind her. She looked different now, stronger, more confident and fully aware of her power. Her company had become a global force, and she had become a beacon of courage and leadership for countless people around the world. Leonard approached her with sincere admiration. He didn't come to ask for anything. He didn't come to regain his status. He simply came to acknowledge the truth, that she had become everything he once believed only men like him could be, and she had done it with grace, resilience, and honor. In that moment, he offered his heartfelt apology, not with grand speeches, but with humility, accepting responsibility for the disrespect he once showed her, and he expressed genuine admiration for the successful businesswoman she had become, paying tribute to her brilliance, her leadership, and the humanity she carried into every decision she made. Dr. Alicia didn't need revenge. Her success was the testament of her strength. She accepted his apology not because he deserved forgiveness, but because she had grown beyond the need for resentment. She shook his hand, the same hand he once refused, but this time, the handshake didn't symbolize business. It symbolized closure. Leonard left her office with a sense of peace he hadn't felt in decades, and as he walked away, he realized that what he had lost financially was insignificant compared to what he had gained in wisdom. Meanwhile, Dr. Alicia continued leading her empire, inspiring millions with her story, a story not of vengeance but of perseverance. A story of how dignity triumphs over arrogance, how respect must be earned, and how sometimes the greatest victories rise from the deepest humiliations. Her journey became a reminder that success built on integrity can never be destroyed by the ignorance of others, and her company stood as proof that one person's belief in their worth is more powerful than an entire system designed to underestimate them. In the end, Leonard Hale's greatest loss was not $2.4 billion. It was the realization that he had failed to recognize greatness. When it stood right in front of him, offering a handshake he was too blind to accept. But for Dr. Alicia Grant, the story was never about him. It was about overcoming obstacles, embracing self-worth, and rising to heights no one could deny. Her legacy became a beacon, illuminating the path for generations that followed, proving that those who rise with dignity shine brighter than those who climb with arrogance, and that sometimes the world changes not with loud battles, but with quiet resilience and a single handshake.